Hi, Daily Dosers. My name is Kip Strawbridge, and I'm the campus pastor at our Carlsbad campus. And as we continue this series on perseverance, we're going to be taking a look in the book of James. Chapter 1, verse 12 says this. It says, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life for which God has promised to those who love him." And this idea of perseverance associated with a test or a trial, and when James uses that language, it says to remain steadfast or to persevere. And we think about tests. One test that kind of is marked in my memory is as you're getting ready for college, you're trying to rank as high as you can and be qualified for the best possible scholarships and all that. And where I grew up, there's SATs and then there's ACTs, and we took those. And I remember the difference between any test I'd ever taken. How you got to go to a special location, and there's certain times, there's rules to how you can and can't, what you can bring with you. And so the pressure was on, to do well. And I knew how high I had to score. And I finished the test, and then the results come back in, and I actually scored lower than I'd wanted. The average entrance for the scores that I wanted to get into the school I was going to were higher than what mine were. The good thing was you could retake it. And so I reassigned up, and I took it again, and I did better, and I was actually scored a little higher than the average, and I was like, that's good. I could go there. And the interesting thing is in life, we don't usually get a redo. We don't usually get a second chance. And I want to talk about what I think something that comes from the teachings in James. There's some thoughts that Jewish rabbis would put to this teaching that I thought was very interesting. I want to share with you is that we often tend to think of tests and trials like that ACT test I was talking about, where it might be a situation or a circumstance, and we have tests and trials all throughout our life. And their perspective was a little bit different. It was that all of our life is one big test and trial, and that one day the results will prove the worthiness of our faith and commitment to Christ. And I think as I was thinking through that, I thought that'd be a great way to kind of start our mindset on this idea as we continue in this series of perseverance, to shift our perspective away from all the little tests to that all of it is one big test. And he uses an example when he does this. He compares the way a rich man and a poor man would approach life. And the test of a rich person is, can they be generous? That's the thing that they would wrestle with, the thing that they would struggle with in their life is, can they be the kind of person who would see others in need and have a heart of generosity towards them? And likewise, in contrast, the test of a poor person would be, can they endure in that poverty and not, as they would say, kick back or rage against God and kind of shake their fists and go, what have you done? How come I don't have what the rich man has? But to be content in what God has given them. And so whether you see yourself as rich or poor throughout whatever circumstance in life, to take more of a 30,000-foot view and look at the scope of your whole life as a test. That everything you do is one big test, and each of what we might call a test or trial is just one problem on that test. But ultimately, we will be standing before the judge who will give us our final grade and go, you were worthy of those trials because you stood the test. And so I wanted to just help us this morning or this afternoon or whenever you're watching this Daily Dose to encourage you to take that view of that everything that comes in life is just one more problem on the big test of life, and how will you persevere? And James continues in that section right after he talks about perseverance. He talks about temptation and sin. And many times that's the problem on the test, is the situation that comes to go, will you choose to be sinful or to be righteous, to live and act according to the way Christ calls us? Or will we fall into our humanity, into the world, the culture around us, society's influence? Or will we rise above that and persevere despite the adversity that comes when life faces these things to us? And so that's my challenge to you today. See your whole life as the test that God is calling you for the final exam one day where we stand before him face to face. And will we be worthy of all the problems on the test? And ultimately say, no, I was faithful to you because you are God and you are worthy. And whether I'm rich or poor, I will stand this test for the sake of God. Have a great day, Daily Dosers.